Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening. My name is Douglas Bailey, and welcome to another exciting episode of EdTech TV. Tonight, we'll be exploring the origins of STEAM education, and we'll find out how we can implement STEAM approaches in our own classrooms. We're going to be bringing together three intelligent, gifted, and talented panelists that will talk about how they utilize STEAM approaches in their classroom. Now, most people have heard about STEM, the art of applying science, technology, engineering, and math to different curriculums, different projects, and different learning assignments. However, STEAM adds one particular element that is designed to spark creativity and innovation in our learners. That additional letter is A, so it stands for arts. So now it's science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. We're going to be discussing why it is important, how we can implement it, where we can integrate it, and when STEAM came into practice. So why STEAM? STEAM addresses real-world problems and real-life situations through critical thinking, creativity, innovation, and inquiry-based learning. By utilizing every letter in STEAM, learners can come up with creative and innovative ways to solve problems that affect society in today's world. And we really don't have to look far to find any of these challenges. As a matter of fact, the United Nations has developed 17 SDGs, which stand for Sustainable Development Goals. These goals are things that can be utilized in the classroom to help students and learners solve problems. For example, if you go into any major city today, you will see that a lot of the buildings and infrastructure are in desperate need of repair. So, after we look at these buildings, we apply the science to how to build them a little better, the technology on what equipment we should be using, the engineering, more specifically the engineer design process to find out exactly what was going on with those buildings in the first place, and then the math end of it, which includes measurements, includes other numbers that are important to rebuilding. Where does the arts come in? Good question. Think about the structure of the building, the design of the building, the flair, the character of the building. These are all things that are developed within the arts portion of our STEAM approach. So, how do we make the building stand out? What color should the building be? How many exits, how many doors should the building have? That's all where the arts come in. Arts is a beautiful complement to the other four categories in STEM. Other things that the STEAM approach helps to develop is question asking. Students are encouraged to ask questions within a STEAM approach. They're also going to do a lot of hands-on work and collaboration, which is very important for 21st century skill building. The reason why we put these five categories together is because they work together best in an integrational approach. The arts are great for many different reasons. Number one, it brings us all together in a sense of community. It also gives us a form of self-expression, which is extremely important for our mental health. Arts also will give us different ideas of cultural experiences that we might not be too familiar with. I also love the A adding to the STEAM, mainly because the A is all about imagination. It will allow us to step out of sometime that rigid box of science and math to think in more innovative ways to figure out how to improve our society as a whole. You want people to have the comfortability and the flexibility to be who they are, and the arts really help to facilitate that. The arts also give us an alternative way to communicate different ideas. Where science and math is black and white, the arts allow us to use color and even draw a little bit outside the margins if we choose to. The arts also help people that might have a reluctance in certain subjects to still be able to provide and contribute to real life scenarios, project-based learning, and inquiry-based learning. Now, let's talk to our three guests. We have Jasmine Hill, Jason Jacino, and Amber Spear. They're going to give us some of their real-world STEAM applications and how they utilize them in their classes or in their schools altogether as top educators and administrators right here in New Jersey. Y'all ready? Let's tune in. Welcome to EdTech TV, where, as I explained earlier, we have some great, educated, talented, intelligent guests that are going to join us tonight to talk about STEAM education and STEAM approaches in and outside of the classroom. Our first guest, her name is Jasmine Hill. Jasmine, tell our audience around the globe a little bit about yourself and what you do for a living.
Hello, everyone, and good evening, good night, good morning, whatever it is to you. My name is Jasmine Hill, as Doug said, and I am a preschool teacher at a school in Newark. It is named Avon Avenue Elementary, and I've been teaching there for 2 years now. So yeah, Doug, what do you want to get into tonight?
Very good. Well, I wanted to ask you, in your experience of working at Avon, what does STEAM look like in a classroom full of early learners?
I love that question because you know what? I think that people look at STEAM, they look at the title, and it gets them excited. You know, everybody loves engineering, they think of robotics, they think of all the great innovations that are coming up, but they don't really know what it actually looks like in a day-to-day classroom. And they're even more clueless about what it looks like for preschoolers. I have so many parents, so many people tell me that they don't know how I do it. They don't know what preschoolers do in a day. And it's actually really simple. It just looks like them playing. It looks like them talking. It looks like them having conversation, which is something that they actually don't do, especially now with technology expanding. Students don't get a chance to converse anymore with each other, with their families. And so STEAM education in a preschool classroom looks like them having conversations with one another, having conversations with their educators, thinking open ended, thinking broad, solving problems, and being empowered to solve problems and encourage their peers to do the same.
Wow. So you would say collaboration is a big part of what STEAM looks like for early learners.
I think that's a great word, and it's a buzzword definitely in my school. Not only for the students, but also for us as educators. We collaborate with one another, but we also make sure that our students are collaborating. So the classes come together and they do not only peer-to-peer interaction with one another, but also with neighboring classrooms.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jasmine. We also have here Miss Amber Spear, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself, and then we'll get into her first question. Hi, Amber.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Amber Spear, and I also work in Newark, New Jersey, at Louis Munoz Marin Elementary School, and I'm a first grade teacher.
That is awesome. Thank you for joining us tonight, Amber. My question for you is, what are the potential benefits of STEAM education for young learners? Jasmine was explaining a little bit about what the classroom would look like, but what are the benefits that young people can get from STEAM?
So I'm gonna just jump off what Jasmine said because a lot of things that she was talking about was like collaboration, and that's one of the biggest benefits would be the how you can communicate while collaborating. And
Mhm.
it also is able to instill a love of learning and discovery while using STEAM. It makes the subjects more relatable, more enjoyable, enhancing the engagement between the students. It really is focused with a lot of collaboration between the students. And it also integrates science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And it shows the connections between the disciplines. It also allows them to have skills for tackling real world challenges through hands-on projects. So again, back to collaboration, back to the communication, and they're able to work together to figure out those types of projects together.
Would you say that creativity is also a big part of STEAM education, especially with the young learners? I know they have huge imaginations.
Absolutely. I feel like it allows them to imagine using that creativity to approach those certain challenges that STEAM brings to the table.
Thank you so much, Amber. I appreciate you being here tonight. We also have our third guest. His name is Mr. Jason Jacino. Jason, can you talk to us a little bit about what you do in the education field?
Absolutely. And thank you, Douglas. And nice to see you, Jasmine and Amber. You brought up a lot of great points, and I like that we're here together to really discuss this. But I'm from the A. Harry Moore Laboratory School here in Jersey City, New Jersey. And we have students from ages 3 to 21. And one thing we always focus on is what I call all, learning for all. And I can't wait to dive into these questions.
All right. Well, thank you so much. You're working with a mixed group, but you have some older students than Jasmine and Amber do. Can you provide an example of STEAM's impact on student achievement?
Absolutely, because that's what the Department of Education is looking for, student achievement. We can talk about all the approaches and the strategies that we have in the classroom, but what they really are looking for is student achievement at the Department of Ed. And Jasmine and Amber brought up two really important things. From Jasmine, you see the preschool approach in applying STEAM in the curriculum. And then as the students get older, you see how Amber applies it in the first grade. But then what happens in third grade, those testing grades? What happens in 7th, 10th, 11th grade when the students are older? Does it decline, or can you use STEAM to impact the student achievement as they get older? Because you have to have them engaged. In 2016, there was a study that found that students who received 9 hours of STEAM education in an urban district, disadvantaged area, showed significant improvement in their science achievement. Now, I was just talking about how it's learning for all. And if we can have that across the board, then it demonstrates the potential for benefits of embracing STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, and integrating it into our curriculums, especially similar to the vocational technology programs from the early 1960s. A lot of people forgot about that.
I remember VOTEC.
VOTEC. And that's where everybody was engaged the most. No matter which part of the school you were at, you always saw the most engagement out of the VOTEC programs. And that's when it began, and when I think, in my own mind, STEM was pretty much born. And I know it was from the Vocational Education Act from 1963, and it funded the use of technology in schools, hence the birth of STEM. This led to students learning programming languages like BASIC and the gradual introduction of PCs into some classrooms. And the history of vocational education, now known as career and technical education, can be tracked actually all the way back to the 19th century and the early 20th century, when the United States was just booming with technology.
Excellent analysis there, Jason. My producer is, I'm sorry. Oh, I can't even make my headphones here. Yeah. We have a live feed from A. Harry Moore School. Hey, Jason, did you know anything about this?
I heard that there was somebody at my school today doing a video research. Peter Parker was there today. I'm not sure if you know him. We know him very well in the city.
The reporter?
That's
Peter
right.
Parker?
The one and only Peter Parker. He's the photojournalist for the Daily Bugle.
Oh, wow. Well, apparently my producer is telling me that we have Peter Parker live at the A. Harry Moore Laboratory School. Can we get a live feed on video? Okay. Hey, EdTech TV viewers, we got a special guest. Peter Parker, take it from here.
Hello, everybody. This is Peter Parker here, coming to you from the A. Harry Moore Laboratory School in Jersey City. You might know me as a freelance photographer for the Daily Bugle. Some of the pictures I take are really of Spider-Man, but as you can see, the Daily Bugle doesn't really like Spider-Man that much. I don't know why. Anyway, I'm in the technology laboratory where they have so many cool devices. I was commissioned by Douglas, Amber, and Jasmine to research STEAM in education and how educators embrace STEAM throughout their curriculum.
What are you doing in my tech lab, Peter Parker.
Oh my goodness. Mrs. Martin, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you were in here. I was doing a research project for this District 12 over at NJCU. They commissioned me to do a video about STEAM.
These are just devices. What does this have to do with STEAM?
Well, I thought that, STEAM, technology, the tech lab, this would be the perfect place to do my research.
You should go to the library.
The library? Why should I go to...
Questioning me?
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Martin. Thank you so much. I guess I'll go to the library. What in the world? Why would I go to the library? Oh,
Peter, what are you doing here? I hope you're staying out of trouble.
I'm trying to, but it always seems like trouble follows me.
How's Aunt May?
Oh, she's doing great.
Wonderful. And what can I help you with?
Well, I'm doing this video research project on STEAM. And Miss Martin, the technology coordinator, she sent me to the library. I have no idea why.
Well, Peter, the library also serves as a resource hub where we have books and magazines and online databases covering various STEAM subjects. We also foster collaborative learning, where we host groups and workshops and collaborative learning spaces where students can work together on STEAM projects.
Really?
And
How?
Well, they foster teamwork and communication and problem-solving skills. We also foster community engagement through STEAM-focused events like guest speakers and exhibitions and competitions, bringing everyone together. We also make interdisciplinary connections through curating diverse collections of materials that bridge STEAM subjects. And if that wasn't enough, libraries are quiet spaces for reflection. So on that note, you need to leave. You don't really belong here.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Casalini. I appreciate you helping me understand how STEAM and the library, like literacy and reading, is all related. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Now stay out of trouble.
I will try. And with that, this is Peter Parker signing out from the A. Harry Moore Laboratory School.
Wow, that was a riveting segment by the reporter himself, the photojournalist Peter Parker, Miss Jenna Martin, and Mrs. Marissa Casalini. Thank you so much for that segment. That was awesome. Hey, shout out to my producer. You're the real MVP. Thank you so much. Wow, such an amazing segment there. I'm sorry, I'm just so excited about us discussing STEAM education tonight, and to have a special guest like that was pretty amazing. All right, so we're gonna bring our round of questioning back. This is a question for the entire panel. We know that technology is a major part of STEAM education and STEAM approaches. What type of technology are you utilizing in your own classrooms or in your schools in general?
In our preschool classroom, we definitely are blessed to have a smart board. The students also have access to Chromebooks. There's not a Chromebook for each student, but there are at least two, and then they swap out in centers. But I also like to think of technology in the way that Dr. Schamberg mentioned it during our Summer Institute. And it's the things we use every day as well to get things done. So we use ramps to teach the students about how physics starts off really early. We use things like pulleys. We use all kinds of fulcrums and just different things to teach students about simple machines and technologies that exist that are not just our laptops or our computers.
So I also, in my classroom, we do have a smart board. We do have laptops for each student. One of the biggest educational apps that we have is our phonics program, and it's called Foundations. And it is a way that the kids can use a game to learn how to read. So I feel like that is something so important for first graders and, obviously younger, but it is so important for those kids to learn, but they don't even realize they're learning because they're too busy playing the game. So that is one of the programming concepts that is important in my classroom.
We're really fortunate at our school to have the smart boards, interactive boards, tablets, and assistive technology devices. I don't want to dive too much into any of those areas because that would be a presentation all by itself. But the assistive technology that we have at our school allows our students to either communicate or to interact in the school with each other with devices as well. So we have the switches, we have the tablets, and the tablets have the software. We also call it the augmentative communication devices. So those devices have software on there where the students would actually select something. They would click the button, and when they click the button, it would speak in sentences or in phrases. And that allows them to communicate if they are nonverbal or if they have difficulties communicating. So I'd like to just point out that the assistive technology that we have really allows our students to thrive in STEAM in those areas.
Ultimately, technology is, a big part of course, STEAM education. And just imagine what the creativity of the arts along with the technology would bring to not only a classroom, but to our society in general. So we are happy to know that we have educators and administrators that are doing their best to give our students, like Jasmine said, it's never too early for them to learn these 21st century skills that are going to be so important for not just survival, but for success in our modern society. I'm going to go back to Miss Jasmine Hill. How does STEAM relate to multimodal learners? And what is multimodal? Can you just give us a little, example of what that means for our viewers out there?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Doug. So Amber and Jason brought up some really, really great points. So just like Amber said, collaboration is so important. And then as you continue on, engagement is one of the really great factors and important factors of STEAM education. And it all ties into multimodal learning, which basically means that you engage the students on multiple different forms of learning. People used to call it learning styles, but it's really just kinesthetics. You engage them in their auditory learning, you engage them in their visual learning, and you're doing it all at the same time. And then even further, you're engaging them in multiple subjects. So you're not just teaching them about art, you're not just teaching them about math, but you're using the math lesson to draw, you're using the math lesson to paint, but then you're counting at the same time. And it's just basically an amalgamation of different things that will engage the student wholly. And I think that STEAM education is all about multimodal learning. I think that in order to really create a whole child that is informed, that is curious, that is, like we said, engaged, and that is willing and interested in collaboration, they need to understand how to access multiple forms of learning and multiple subjects all at the same time and in different ways.
Thank you for that, Jasmine. I'm going to go back to Miss Amber Spear, and I want you to talk about, if you can, how can educators assess the effectiveness of STEAM activities, particularly in early childhood learning?
What Jason and Jasmine were talking about, one of the things I want to say is it helps the students explore and bridge the gap in their learning by just making those subjects more relatable and enjoyable. It helps it in each grade level. So as we use STEAM from preschool all the way up to high school, sometimes they have that as well in high school, you're able to relate and intertwine those subjects without actually having to stop and say, okay, well, it's math time. You're using those different subjects to have them foster creativity. So I just wanted to bring that before I talk about the assessment part. So how educators assess the effectiveness is kind of like what we would normally do. I'm saying as a teacher, observational assessments, we would just be monitoring the students' engagement and how they're participating. You can also do portfolios, which would showcase, the child's work and their progress over time. Also having those big types of projects where it could be group work or individual, the projects would help a lot. And then also structured assessments that help evaluate those skills that are related to the STEM concepts. That would definitely help assess the effectiveness of the STEM activities in early childhood. It can work in all of K through high school.
Thank you again for that answer, Amber. Really appreciate it. We're going to go back to Mr. Jason Chusino now for our next question, which is, what role do life literacies play in modern curriculum technology for STEAM education?
Well, it's funny you asked that question. It's almost like you knew that Amber and Jasmine were going to answer those questions with something that's related. And I like to bring in how the modalities that Jasmine was talking about and the importance of assessments that Amber was speaking of. And it's funny because the assessment word is almost like the curse word in the educational field, because you don't want to teach towards the test. You don't want to have the students scared of the exam or have the testing fatigue. You want them to know that the test is to find out how much they know already and how much more they need to learn. And with life literacies, it's the part where the students have the critical thinking, the problem solving, and the adaptability. And it's a crucial component of modern curriculum and technology. And almost similar to the Reggio Emilia approach that some of the younger pre-K schools utilize in their curriculum. It's student-centered, where they learn to what their interests are. And that is where the life literacies come in as they get older, like I was talking about before, with their milestones that they're reaching. Well, as they're going through their milestones of learning, milestones of child development, that life literacies is a difficult component to teach because it happens organically throughout their learning career. And we want to make sure that all those areas, like I said before, critical thinking and the creativity in arts. But now that we have the arts, that enables the students to tackle those real world challenges and adapt to like the ever evolving industry demands that are going to be faced when they're 21. They get to excel in their chosen careers, and our students will develop those soft skills that are required of them.
Very good. And I see that a lot of what you all are talking about tonight definitely ties STEAM into what is called 21st century skills, which include the 4 C's, like creativity, collaboration, critical thinking, and communication. How important are those 4 C's to STEAM learning?
So I think it's just important because, those 4 C's are really what helps a student learn. It allows them to take in the content better and remember it. Sometimes when you're talking about, like, let's say math, 4 times 2, it's 8. But realistically, if a kid doesn't like math, then they're never going to get that. So having those 4 C's where they're able to communicate and be creative, it benefits them because then they can remember the content while enjoying it.
Well said.
So I'll just kind of piggyback off that and say that creativity is like, I think, the lifeblood of all 4 of the C's, or at least of the 3 other C's, because it really just allows students to understand that they're always learning, that they're always picking up on all of these subjects, that it's all around them. And really, they just have to access it in a way that fits them. We really meet them where they are with STEAM. And I think that's why they continue to add like different letters and they continue to add different subjects, because you really are accessing all these things all the time, every day. And like you guys said, from preschool all the way up, even past high school, in your real life. And so when you allow them to recognize that it's second nature and that it's a part of who they are, they can expand their minds, they can be more creative, they can be more collaborative and more open. And I just think that's the core of everything we want for students, but especially for STEAM education.
Wow. Excellent. Yes.
One more for the C's, and the one thing that ties it all together is the confidence. And the students disengage in any grade level if they don't have the confidence. And STEAM allows them to apply those skills. Like Amber had said before, 2 times 2 is 4. But then if it's difficult to get to those math skills or the calculations and the operations of it all, and they're not confident to even make a mistake, then they'll lose interest in the learning subjects like math and just quit. And STEAM allows them to be creative, and it allows them, are you ready? To fail. But try again. And that's what we want them to do. We don't want them to be afraid of, like I was saying before, being assessed or taking an exam. We want them to have the confidence of, let's see where I'm at now and how much more I need to learn, because that's the learning process. for our students out there today. And STEAM allows our teachers to apply that in the classrooms.
Wow, excellent, excellent analysis from all three of you. And I would like to say the creativity, piggybacking off of Jasmine, is one of the most important aspects of art, is being creative. So that is what kind of makes the difference to me from STEM to STEAM, because STEM is very rigid in a sense where 2 + 2 is 4. Science is science, right? But the art gives us an opportunity to kind of step outside of the box and be more creative with our thinking. And that's why I think the A in STEAM is so important, because a student might struggle in math, they might struggle in science, they might not be too familiar with technology, but creativity, I have imagination forever. I can think outside the box. I can do all kinds of things. Excuse me? Another guest. What? Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. Let me just. Yes, we had Peter Parker and but there's somebody else. Okay, live feed. But who is this person? Oh, we'll have to wait and see. Oh, okay. I apologize for the interruption to my esteemed guest. Apparently, we have somebody else that's going to speak about STEAM education. Let's go direct. We're going live right now.
Hey guys, is this District 12? Well, this must be District 12. I heard you guys are talking about STEAM, one of my favorite subjects. You know why? Because I'm a bit of a scientist myself. I might be young, but I dabble here and there, especially to make sure that I can work with the Avengers. How do I work with the Avengers? Well, I know firsthand how STEM is more than just engaging in fun. It integrates the arts. And how does it integrate the arts? Through STEAM. That's right. STEAM in the curriculum. It's just building up STEAM and making it so much better through the arts. So now we have science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. It's a new kind of innovation. It encourages everyone. I might have superpowers, but it has taught me the importance of adaptability. STEAM in education promotes the same kind of flexibility. As you have heard today, it helps students like me prepare for the world that's constantly changing. We collaborate with friends like the Avengers and the Hulk too. But just like Tony Stark, have you ever seen him in action? He encompasses all of the areas of science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And that's what we're trying to do in education. Also, it emphasizes the teamwork, the diverse perspectives, which I think is super cool. I am living proof that combining science and creativity, we can lead an amazing life and do amazing things. And not just because I am the amazing Spider-Man. The students can benefit so much from STEAM education because it encourages us to explore our interests and passions. Sometimes my experiments fail, but that's okay. That's how I learn and grow. And so will our students in schools. It's all about learning from our mistakes and preserving the STEAM in education. It really supports a growth mindset. And that is a friendly message from your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Whoa! Spider-Man? Jason, I'm speechless right now. Spider-Man is a STEAM educator. What is going on here? Wow.
Totally amazing. I can't believe this is all tying together. This is amazing.
Talking about interest and engagement, I mean, we only got one of the greatest superheroes of all time. I mean, Batman and Superman might protest, but it's Spider-Man, for goodness sakes. Wow, That was incredible.
I
Jasmine,
am
Amber, did
so
you guys
glad
have
you
anything to do
invited
with this?
me.
Did you guys know that this was going to happen? My producer is sitting here smiling. What is happening here?
I
I'm
had
Wow.
so
no
glad that you
idea.
invited me to be
I
a part of this panel.
I don't know.
That was tremendous. I mean, I've interviewed a lot of special guests, but
Yeah.
to have Spider-Man, and I mean, it just wow, that was pretty amazing, guys. We have one more round of questioning. Let me just kind of take a deep breath here because I'm just in shock that I'm the host. I normally book all the guests and I have an idea of who's coming on, but for a whole superhero to swing it on the web and teach us about STEAM, put my professional hat back on. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, here we go. Jasmine, if you don't mind, I'll come back to you for a final round of questions to start it off. A lot of people that are listening to this conversation, when they think about STEAM and STEM in general, they think scientists, they think engineers, they think mathematicians. Does STEAM matter for early learners? If so, why does it matter to have STEAM education in the classroom so early?
I think that's a really great question. The questions are amazing tonight, but I think it is very important. I think that anything that you do, like we've been saying tonight in the real world, ultimately is very important, especially for young learners. People don't realize it, but a lot of the basis of who children are, who people are, what they do, what they know, what they understand, how they ascertain information, how they retain information, it really starts from like 1 to 5. And then, of course, you guys know, even in the womb. And if the foundation isn't laid correctly, then where do they, you know what I mean, have time to pick up those steps? Where do they have time to learn that they need to be more open and creative, and that it's not just science and math and those things aren't just rigid, but they are flexible, that they do not even just can be applied to art, but that they are art in their own right. So I think STEAM is very important for young learners, and it has to start as soon as possible. If you want to read science books to your baby, if you want to read a book about art and science and how it goes together in the womb, you can do that. If you want them to listen to music and you put the headphones on your belly, and then, in our class, a lot of times we go out of our way to do science experiments that, again, are multimodal. So one year we made kinetic sand, and we talked about how it's just like cooking, and that's not a skill that like preschoolers are supposed to learn, but they learned about the ingredients and how when you're cooking, you're using ingredients too. But when you do science experiments, you're doing the same thing. And then they counted the number of ingredients, and they learned about how to do halves and wholes, and all of that was taught to preschoolers, and they got it. They understood the vocabulary. They understood the math aspect. They understood the science aspect, and that's STEAM in a nutshell. So it's very important, and it can start as soon as possible, and it should start as soon as possible.
Wow. Hey, that sounds cool. I would love to be in that class. That sounds
Right?
like a lot of interesting things going on. Amber, we're going to come back to you for your final questions. And this one is, just kind of giving our visitors and our guests just some of the limitations. What challenges might educators face when implementing STEAM education in early childhood settings?
That's a really great question. Some of the challenges just maybe lack of resources or training for the educators. I think one of the biggest things is having these STEAM activities and aligning them with the curriculum standards. That's like the biggest thing, all the standards. We always have to do activities that align with the standards. And also having, some educators, especially older educators who have been in the field for so long, they may not be comfortable with the technology or all the processes that happen in STEAM, and then also allowing the children to have equal access to the resources, especially in different classrooms.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, at least now teachers can kind of have an idea of how to lessen the challenges or the limitations that STEAM would present in a early childhood learning class. So I appreciate that answer. Jason, how does STEAM contribute to developing life literacies? And can you give us like an idea of what life literacies are for our viewers out here? Thank you.
Absolutely. And I want to begin it with how the A in STEAM is for the arts. And I know I kind of talked about it before. learning for all. I almost feel like the arts is the best opportunity for all, whether it's a struggling learner or a student with a disability or a student that's going through a crisis. The arts is the means for them to really express themselves from what they've learned as well. And through the life literacies, that is when they will be prepared. They're preparing. Right now, I think, Jasmine, you're preparing your pre-K students to go on to kindergarten. But what you're really doing is preparing them for the adult life. You're building that foundation. And that's the other part of the arts, the A for all. And as those students grow, you just have to know you are their foundation. And whatever you are doing with them, you're allowing them to create, you're allowing them to be themselves, you're allowing them to be confident. And I know sometimes we use the buzzwords in education that come out, but it is true. Social emotional intelligence, social emotional learning, that does allow them to succeed in life later on. That's where the life literacies comes in, because science, the technology, the engineering, the arts, the math that is infused into those lessons, that's when they can do the problem solving. And it provides them with the opportunities to engage in those hands-on project-based learnings, experiences. And that's where they can see a product, not just what did they read in science, what did they remember, what can they be assessed in? And even in using technology or engineering portions of it. What did I learn? What can I apply? What can I be assessed in and get a good grade? We don't want that. We want them to have the life literacy so they can be productive members of society as they get older.
Absolutely. Wow. That is a nice way to wrap up today's session. And I'm so excited because, I mean, we got the expertise of the three of you all, but to have a Spider-Man make a special guest appearance along with our gifted and talented educators at A. Harry Moore School, and of course, Peter Parker. Wow, I didn't expect all of this to be placed together the way that it did happen, but I'm so grateful that it did. I would like to thank all the viewers that have taken your time to watch our introduction and our presentation of STEAM education. And we look forward to bringing you more exclusive content just like this on EdTech TV. My name is Douglas Bailey, and I'm going to bid our guest a very good night. Thank you all for joining us.
Nice.
Right. Stay tuned for future episodes where we'll give you all the ins and outs of educational technology in 2024 and beyond. Peace and love.